as our clerk tonight, so roll call, please.
Giovanini,
Here.
Barr,
Here.
Gill,
Here.
S. Horner, Hauser,
Yes.
A. Horner,
Here.
Bradshaw,
Here.
Howard,
Here.
Willie.
Here.
Thank you. With that, I will open the meeting of the Civic Center Authority for this month, and with no action needed, I will close the Civic Center Authority meeting and move on to the consent agenda. 2 items. If there are no questions, I would entertain a motion for approval of that. Motion by Barb Howard, second by John Willie. Roll call, please.
Giovanini,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Gill,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Horner,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Willie.
Yes.
Thank you. Item A on the regular agenda is ordinance 2025-0027, the Dixon subdivision, and I'm not sure who's doing this.
Well, I
Greg?
can tell you a little about it, but I've got a conflict of interest because I represent the Dixons. Just started out in the county and realized within a mile and a half. And Greg Dixon is here. I don't know if you know where Greg lives, but on the same tract of land that he's got, they want to carve off his mom and dad's house site to sell to a granddaughter. And that would create, since there's already one division of less than 5 acres off of that tract, it requires a subdivision to create that. So that's all they're asking for. It's got its own road access, all the utilities, everything's just very similar to that Listener situation here. So,
Does anyone have any questions?
This is outside city limits.
Yes.
Why do we
we
have
have jurisdiction to subdivide within a mile and a half of the boundary. That's so that we can control exterior development that may end up being in the city later. Gonna have kids in school. If the county didn't have zoning, we would have zoning authority out the mile and a half too. But because Livingston County has its own zoning, we only have the subdivision. I need to look closer at the map because the second one of those I didn't catch.
I would entertain a motion. Jerry Causer, Chan Gill. Roll call, please.
Barr,
Yes.
Gill,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Horner,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Willie,
Yes.
Giovanini.
Yes.
Thank you. Greg, you're free to subdivide.
We just got to find a brother to sign now. We got 3 owners.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to item B, the Infrastructure Committee report. I will pass that on to Mr. Giovanini.
The Infrastructure Committee met on November 18th, 2025 at 4:30. The meeting was called to order. For facade grade at 309 Oak, that's occupied by M&H Sales Service, Nathan Rob Miller. President, Chairman Alderman Giovanini, Alderman Willie, Alderman Barr, Alderman Bradshaw, and Alderman A. Horner. The total amount of the grant was now for $20,298.73. $18,234.50 had previously been approved. M&H has been paid $14,763.73, leaving a balance of $5,535. The committee, by consensus, recommended approval sent to the council.
Very good.
Meeting adjourned at 4:40.
Thank you. And now we'll move on to the facade grant for Miller, item number C.
Yep, and I will just give you the quick, like Frank said, their initial grant, as what can happen sometimes, you tear into a facade and you find some more things, and so it ran over a little bit, and they still have the windows and some doors to do, and asked us to increase the facade grant to cover those expenses, where they would be able to use those funds for what they did before. That additional grant amount is, like the minutes said, $5,510. It's basically exactly the second grant that they got for the window. Nate is here if you have anything you want to add, or if anyone has any questions.
Any questions, anybody? Okay.
They're still well under the $50,000 grant total, and we have had no other grant applications, so we're still well under the $150,000 budgeted.
I'd make the motion to accept.
Okay, motion by Jerry Cosner, second by Jamie Bradshaw. Roll call, please.
Gill,
Yes.
Warner,
Yes?
Causer.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I jumped the wrong one. Bradshaw,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Willie.
Yes.
Sub clerks, what are we going to do?
I know.
Nate, the building looks great. You've made a definite improvement at that end of downtown. Thank you.
Needed to be done. As exciting as Q2 financial sounds, I'm leaving. Thanks, everyone.
DNA.
Okay, moving on to item D, the approval for RFP concrete pad for the Serban substation site, and Jim will take that.
Yes, so, if you recall, we've talked about the fire substation, that we had a plan to co-locate some Serban equipment. They're working on a Light Up Livingston County grant, and that co-locate will light up the west side heading toward Flanagan in that area. And it'll also provide as a redundant fail-safe for our area. That was supposed to be inside of our building, but their project is moving much quicker than ours. And so they want to put up a hut, fiber hut, like you see them pre-made huts. And so we had been working on that project, and they need to install a concrete pad for that hut. And where it would go, it's hard to tell on this little tiny map.
Is that where all those little stakes are out there?
It's where all the
Those little
stakes
group?
are, yeah. It'll be on the east side
Yes.
of the fire station. Behind it, it won't be visible to the public. But there's a few things on that they have, their grant amount won't cover the full amount of the construction of this hut and that concrete pad. However, the temporary power that's going to be needed, we're going to need as well for our construction when we get going there. And then there's a access route to get back there, which will also need and use any of the, if they put gravel or whatever they're gonna put down. We were talking to Opperman about this project and getting the concrete in. And then, in addition to that, I'm working on a deal with Serban, where when they're at this site, we'll get our service for free there. And we're also looking at potentially getting Serban out to the airport. And so that may be coming later. There's some costs that'll be involved in getting a line there. But part of this deal would also include, if that comes to service out of the airport, and at no cost to us as well, so. Not gonna be any significant cost for the city for this project on us, other than things that we're gonna eventually have to do anyway. We would just ask, Chris, if there was anything you wanted to add? Yeah. So we would just ask that the council approve letting us go to an RFP. And what we want to do is, rather than just say, when we asked for how much it was going to cost more than $25,000, so we need to get bids. And so we'll ask for an RFP on what their plan is, to how they want to do this, so we don't lock in an expensive thing and we have an opportunity for contractors to say, yeah, you don't need to do that, we can get away with doing this. And so one of the things was the access road, on whether there's different ways you could do it, whether it was going to be graveled or whether it was going to be just something laid down out there. And the ground's getting pretty hard, so we didn't really think that there was going to be a big need for expense. So we'll let the contractors figure out who can be the cheapest on that whole thing. But it's on our property, so we wanted to make sure we controlled the project. And then if you approve the RFP, when it comes back, we'll bring it back to the body to approve.
I'll make a motion. Send an RFP.
Motion by Jamie Bradshaw, second by Mark Barr. Roll call, please.
Causer,
Yes.
Corner,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Willie. Yes. Sorry, what'd you say?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Giovanini,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Gill.
Yes.
Thank you. Item E, draft ordinance 2025-0026, property tax levy.
Yes. Okay, so you should have in front of you the property tax draft ordinance. And the first part of it is the budget. And then when you get to the page with the two columns, there's a comparison of last year's levy to this year's levy. Just a couple notes I wanted to make. The CPI, the tax levy with PTEL can be the lesser of 5% or the CPI. And this year, the CPI was 2.9%. In addition to that, there were some pretty substantial increases to the EAV, which when the EAV raises substantially, the rates actually go down on the levy. But, with PTEL, we are still limited on the amount of money that we'll bring in on the levy, which is 70-some thousand dollars that will raise additionally. The biggest thing you would notice on the levy will be a reduction in the general corporate levy. That from last year was 162,000, this year 135,000. That is mainly because police and fire pensions, they're up pretty significantly.
Third page.
Well, the only place where there is anything, it says zeros.
Yeah, and that one is always.
Yeah.
I do have it with me, though. The pension fund last year, the police pension fund was $788,078. And this year, it's $850,288. If you recall, there's an actuary done by Foster and Foster on the pension fund, and then they tell us what we have to levy for the police and fire pensions. So these aren't open for us to decide. We can go more than that, but that's the minimum that we have to. And then the fire pension last year was $461,564. And then this year it's $506,366. And as you move up and down the levy, most of it is pretty well close to the same. Liability insurance from $610,000 to $616,000. The library fund asked us, city, to levy 2.9% for their library fund. And everything else, like IMRF is up, we went up $3,000. So that this levy will cover the fire and police pensions, and then it'll also cover the IMRF pension and our liability insurance. And then the rest of it basically is just, there's some there for fundable items.
I think we're all missing those pages.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that was the
Nobody's
second
got that,
email, right?
yeah.
She emailed something.
Okay, yeah.
Well, that was because this page wasn't readable.
Yep, and I'll send this back out. This is a draft anyway, so it'll be for us to vote on next council. Again, there really is no big surprises. This indicates a 2.9% increase, and which on the $100,000 tax in 2025, it would be a decrease of $225.21 to taxpayers. And that, again, is because their valuation went up, so.
How much did you say?
$225.21 per $100,000.
Does everybody have an understanding about levy? Anna, you're new. Jan, understanding what the levy means? Maybe Jim
So,
provide
yeah.
an explanation of.
So, the property tax levy, the state law provides for a city to levy property tax for a number of certain things. One is a general corporate levy. And then after that, there are some special taxes that can be added on. And those are all these other ones. There's police protection, fire protection, a public benefit fund, which we have nothing in, an audit fund we used to have. And so you'll see, as you go down this list, you'll see all these different funds that we have either, the statute has either said that we can do, or that we've done a referendum by statute to include these special, and they're called special taxes. If you look at, hopefully you have this page. If you look at, after the library building maintenance, there's a paragraph right there with some bold in it. And it says, the purpose of the city of Pontiac to levy above special taxes in the section aggregating the sum of $3,171,165 and above the limitation of general corporate purposes provided by statutes of the state of Illinois, the aggregate sum of $3,171,165 being the remainder of the amount required over and above other income. So that is why, that sentence there is why we include the entire budget in there. And and we have other income that we get in from monies from the state, monies from things that we sell here, services, those kinds of things. The total tax levied by this ordinance will be $3,171,165. That being the aggregate sum of the general corporate tax of $136,529, plus the special taxes in the amount of $3,034,636. So that general corporate is the very first one that's listed on the levy, and then the rest are the special taxes. So those taxes, in essence, were created to make sure cities had an opportunity and a way to fund police and fire pensions, Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, liability insurance, and as the fire and police pensions continue to rise at the rate they are, we're heading in a direction to where less and less will be able to be applied toward other things, because we are statutorily obligated to fund those pensions at the level that they say, unless we ever reached a point where there wasn't enough in the levy at all to fund them, then it would come from the general fund.
Also explain, I know that it was explained years ago, that the pension for the fire and police is like mandatory, changed over the years.
Well, as far as what we have to do, it still is, there's an actuary report that's done every year, and then they determine, so our police and fire pensions aren't funded at 100%. I think the police is in the upper 60s, and the fire department is in the low 60s, somewhere in that area. Huh?
Has that changed?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
that changes, yeah, there was.
Every year.
Yeah.
Based on how much we
It really
earn.
wasn't that long ago when the police pension was 100% funded. But when the economy goes bad, and I guess I'll start this way. The police and the fire pensions used to run their own pension fund. And when they do, because they had smaller amounts, $9 and $5 million respectively, the state says, hey, with that amount of money, you can't invest in certain things. You have to stick to these things. And the funds were always losing money. And so when they lose money, then the unfunded liability of all the people that are in the fund that will eventually retire with a formula on how long they'll live, that's the formula they use to say, here's how much money you need to have in the fund to sustain it. And so then it gradually starts dropping when the investments, the state has a base that the fund should be making 6 point something % every year, and they don't. And so then a couple of years ago, the state said, all right, we're going to take control of the funds. And so everyone in the downstate police and fire pensions put all their money into one big pool like IMRF does. And so now that there's billions of dollars in there, they can invest in different things. And the hope is that IMRF is typically around 99, 98% funded. The hope is that they're able to do these things to make more money for these pension funds and help dig out of water. So the state then said the pension funds, fire and police need to be 90% funded by 2040. And there's some legislation going through now because it doesn't look like anybody's going to make that, to push that even further out. So that's kind of the long and short is that the state now controls the investments. The police and fire funds still have their amounts in there, but the investments aren't run by locally here.
So they're getting a higher,
Yeah, that's the hope, is that they get a higher rate of return. And we might not know because there's really not a comparison now to say if we would have been running our own fund, how it would have done. But it's been going with the economy. There's been some ups and there's been some downs. And well, as you can see, this year the increases in the pension fund requirements for the levy were pretty substantial. Well, they were well more than 2.9% of what the CPI was. So when they exceed that PTEL limit, then that just says you got to take money from some other thing that you were levying and put it toward these.
thank you for that. I know that like Bob did that.
You know what PTEL means, Anna? Probably not.
I was gonna Google it.
Yep, no, so PTEL is the property tax extension limit law. So in essence, what happened is Livingston County, the people were given a referendum and the people voted and said, hey, in Livingston County, you cannot raise our property tax any more than 5% or the CPI, whichever is lower. And so, like I said, 2.9% is what the CPI was this year. So that is the most that a municipality or a taxing body that does a levy can ask for. You can ask for more, but to ask for more, there has to be a truth in taxation hearing, and you need voter approval. So
The voter approval is for PTEL. Truth in taxation hearing is a separate rule.
Right.
That even if you're in a non-PTEL county, you can't exceed 105% of what was extended the previous year for your taxes without having a public hearing first. Doesn't say you can't do it, you can have a
Right.
20% increase, but you have to let the residents come in and tell you why you shouldn't do that. And one thing a lot of people don't know, if you know people who live in other areas, one of the exceptions to the PTEL law is entities that lie in more than one county. So say you're a school district and part of your district's in Plain County, which doesn't have PTEL, that school district, the entire district, including Livingston County, is not bound by the limits of PTEL. There's some fire districts, there's a couple school districts that are that way, and with the increases, probably everybody knows by now, there was a multiplier in Pontiac Township for 13.76%. So whatever you were assessed, you just went up by 13.76%, and had there not been PTEL in place, the levy could have gone up to enough to capture whatever that extra EAV would have generated, but you'd have to have a hearing. And whether that would have happened or not, I don't know, but there are certain districts that want to generate every penny they can. And it's kind of hard when you're I mean, I haven't always been in favor of P-TEL, but it works positively and negatively at the same time. It really limits your ability as a councilman to manage. Arguably, if you have responsible management by the governing bodies, you don't need to have that kind of tie your hands, put handcuffs on you limit. But because some of the mentality is let's get all we can, the voters voted that in several years. We've lived under it for a long time. There has been some positive, inflation, which is bad anyway because our costs go up too. But there were times when it was not growing any and you weren't able to extend more than the prior year because you were having negative growth. Deflation. Anyway, it's a very, very complicated area and probably beyond most individuals' ability to explain how the rates are determined. And you spend a whole lifetime trying to figure that out.
Yeah, and really the only other anomaly with our levy is the library. Library is a unique body that, while the city council appoints the board to the library functions as an independent government body. However, the municipality, because they're a city library, they're not a department, they're their own entity. And, but their levy has to be levied by the municipality, so.
Whatever they say, it's under the library code, whatever they say has to be levied. I don't know what happens when we get with the police and fire are maxed out and there's nothing left for the library. But
So the library says we want our levy to be,
Yes.
they came in, remember they had a hearing
And this year
because
they said the 2.9%.
and their accountability is, I mean, can we ask them why that is? Or is that a number that
they come in and make
They
their
had a hearing
presentation
here.
every
they
year.
had a hearing? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we voted to
'Cause I know
approve
they
that.
had a unique,
They
pretty
have
major grant
the
that
same
they just
problem,
received.
personnel costs have gone up more than 2.9, their operating costs have gone up.
Yeah.
And they don't have as many other sources of revenue as the city itself
Right.
does. City itself, you had sales tax, motor fuel tax, service fees from sewer, garbage, The library,
Their budget fits on one page.
Yeah.
uh,
Well, I think what really,
it's just not the best system to fund a government.
Yeah.
the one thing that's really clear is that we do rely on sales tax. And so it's really important for everybody to shop local because that is our meat. It's where we get most of our operational funds. Because real estate taxes are really all delegated to something else besides our day-to-day operations. So, reminder to shop local, I guess. So we'll
So-
vote on this at next
Yep.
meeting.
Yes.
I like to always try and bring it a council meeting ahead of time. Make sure you have an opportunity to look it over and if there are any questions, ask them.
Acronyms, CPI,
The Consumer Price Index.
EVA,
the
Equalized
equalized
assessed
assessed
value.
valuation. It's what
It's
the
a
county
third of
does
your
when they
market
assess.
value.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a third of the fair market value of your property unless you're unless you're a farm. Then it's another form.
IMRF,
Yep,
Illinois
Illinois Municipal
Municipal
Retirement Fund. That's the public pension system for government that are not police and fire. So our Teamsters at the street department and the sewer department, they're IMRF. Us, non-union, we're all IMRF as well.
You can be, as a city council person, IMRF, if you choose to participate in that fund. Any other
Didn't know
questions?
that.
so this will come to another meeting?
Yes, it'll be at the next.
Has that always
for
been?
approval.
It has to be passed the next meeting because it has to be filed with the county on it before the fourth Tuesday of December.
And again,
Or you
we're
don't
looking
get any
at
money at all.
2.9%.
Has it always been?
We
that?
have, this levy.
Has it always been IMRF?
No, has it always been that council could get?
Well, there actually are some changes that you have to meet a certain hour threshold.
Yeah.
I'm not
It's
sure
like-
that the
that's what it
council
used-
will
That's
meet
what
it.
it used to be, that's what.
Oh, okay. Well, I just know when I came in as
Used to.
council person.
Yeah,
Okay,
they've raised that up.
okay, sorry.
But this levy
Back during
does
there.
represent 2.9% for the city and for the library.
Okay, moving on to item F, approval of the Futures Connection Agreement. And Jim will take this as well.
So I've been talking with Dina Fox and Patty Habercorn out at Futures, as well as Monty Andrews with the county and Alina Hartley. The county operates the grant for public transportation. And here I'm going to also just kind of give a quick, because I got educated on this system myself, that this grant that is run by the Department of Transportation, they require that the grant be administered by a public body, which is the county. The county administers this grant not just for Livingston County, but for Iroquois as well. And what it does is it provides a system of public transportation within the county. And so my question was, well, what does that mean? And in essence, with the way that grant is, what I'm told is that the grant says it's a system kind of like the show bus ran, where people are able to register ahead, call ahead. They need to go from place A to place B in the county, starting within the county, or I guess they do Piper City as well, and they have a Route 24 route that they run. So it provides, that's the basic thing. So like a Pontiac resident could call and say, I need to go to the doctor's office at the hospital tomorrow at 4 p.m., and they'll come pick you up and take you out there. What it doesn't provide for is a regular route within the city. And so when we contracted with Show Bus, that's what we did, was said, hey, give us a regular route that you're running throughout the day, and we'll subsidize you because the transportation company has a match that they have to meet. It's 35% of the federal grant that they have to meet, which I'm told is about $47,000 roughly in that area. And so what I did then is, based off of our previous agreement with Show Bus, is I drafted this, and I talked with Futures as well. And so Futures will then provide the city a regular route. They weren't ready to commit to actually publishing the route, but right now the route is the same as it used to be, with the addition that they also stop out at the old VFW. And so they said soon that they'll get that all published. When they're still having some issues trying to get some extra CDL drivers and things. But those hours would be 7:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. They also want to increase that to 5 or 6 p.m., and that might come a little bit later. In the past, a couple things that are different in this agreement that were in the Show Bus. The agreement with Show Bus said that the fare was $1 for a Pontiac resident, and anyone over 60, it was a suggested donation. And Futures asked me the same question that I wondered, like, how do you know if they're actually a Pontiac resident or not? And if they're registering, you could just say you were. And but ultimately, what they told me is that their fare is $2 for the entire day. You pay $2, you can get on it, you can run that route in town, you can run to Fairbury, wherever you need to go for $2. You can go wherever you need them to take you. So I felt like that wasn't asking too much for $2 for that route. And so I left it at that, and then that way they don't have to worry about coming up with any kind of special ways to administer a program for the city that they're doing differently for everyone else. They'll also use a vehicle that is accessible, that will have wheelchair accessibility. They could mix and match clients, whether they're on that route or they're going somewhere else. That's okay. What they do is, it's not like you can just, like, one of the stops is out here. It's not like you can just come here and then just hop on the bus. You're supposed to actually register by calling them, and they said soon they'll have an app where you can just get on the app and register yourself as well. So, because they have to track their ridership for the grant. In addition, we had some minimum insurance coverages, and then some HIPAA information that it'll be safeguarded. and that they'll make sure that they ensure all people's private information remains private. So they're already running it. They said out of good faith, they felt like the route needed to be done and that they would just hope that we would fund it back to the level that we were funding Show Bus. So I would come asking that we fund Futures Connections at $833.33 a month right now, and then we may need to take a look at that at some point in the future. That level we've been doing for as long as Show Bus was around, so that's never been increased. So that's all they're asking for right now. And they also get, I asked what their other sources of funding were for their match. The United Way gives them a small amount, and the city of Dwight and the township there also fund a route within their city as well. I think somewhere close to $4,000 for them. So, and I asked if the county supplies any money to help them match as well. And the answer I got was that they're funding Monty Andrews' position to administer the grant. So they're calling that their funding level, which is, I think, it's at around $40,000. So I mean, I thought we should ask them, and I will continue to ask them to also assist and provide, because we're all county residents. So at this point in time, like I said, Futures, they're already running that route, and I would just ask that we continue to contribute. We stopped a couple months ago paying anything to Show Bus, so it's just been sitting idle.
I was gonna ask about that. You see those buses everywhere. They're all just sitting.
Yeah, they're not operating
Not
anymore.
There was a homeless person.
And,
living
you know,
in one of
and
them
around
in
here,
snow.
the majority of the buses, Show Bus we're using belong to Futures anyway.
Really?
Yes.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Jamie, second by John Willie. Roll call, please.
My left. Warner,
Yes,
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Howard,
abstaining due to conflict of interest.
Willie,
Yes.
Giovannini,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Gill,
Yes.
Causer.
Yes.
Thank you. Much-needed service in our community, so hopefully things continue to go well there. Item G, approval of our liability insurance renewal.
Yes, so I bring this to you kind of after the fact. If you recall, we're a member of CIRMA, the Counties of Illinois Risk Management Association. We signed a 3-year agreement with them for them to provide insurance for us. So because of that, they just are renewing our insurance policies. However, I wanted to bring it to the body so you could see what it is. And on this page that has the blue and the table, what's expiring was $552,247, and the renewal with taxes and fees is $584,759, 5.89% increase. And to be honest, in talking with some other communities, that's not bad for right now. I've talked to some that were between 11 and 20% liability insurance increases. So this gives us all the same coverage that we had in the past, and this is our liability policy, which covers our vehicles, buildings, general liability. It's not the airport, and so.
Does it include the water treatment plant?
It includes the water treatment plant minus the flood zone insurance that is required. So we have a grit chamber building that is within the flood AE zone, and so we're required to carry flood insurance on that.
Can I ask a question? Since the vehicle insurance, So will Enterprise be,
So what we did with Enterprise is we give Enterprise a certificate of insurance
okay,
that our insurance
So we'll-
covers these vehicles while we're using them.
that's.
And that was one of the things as well with Enterprise is I just made sure, being that it's Enterprise and, you typically think that renting a vehicle, you have to be 21 to drive it. Because these are leases and they're actually leases to own, we are able to maintain our current policies, which we require our drivers to be 17 and over.
Okay, I need a motion to approve.
Is this the final year in this agreement with them?
It is, yes,
So they'll be bringing back something?
yes.
Okay.
Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mike Barr, second
Second.
by Jerry Causer. Roll call, please.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Willie,
Yes.
Giovanini, Barr,
Yes.
Gill,
Yes.
Causer,
Yes.
Horner.
Yes.
Thank you. Final item is the second quarter financials, and you had a second copy left in front of you that had some corrections to the one that was in our packet. So,
I just, if you've had a chance to look at the other one, I just made some notes. If you can go through there, there really is nothing overly out of the ordinary throughout the financials. You'll notice, department-wise, most of the departments are doing very well. The fire department had been short people, so you'll notice that they're high on overtime. And if you go through there, the thing I replaced is, there were some formulas on the far right-hand side in Fund 08, 11, and 20 that were not formulating. And so Lauderback got those changed. The total expenses in Fund 19, which is TIF 1, it said that its total expense was like 287%. It's actually 27%.
Page number?
So that fund, huh?
Their page number?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. The fund numbers are right underneath the logo. But, and so Fund 19 is the TIF 1 fund. And it is on page 21. And a lot of the TIF expenses, you'll see that those funds are pretty low expensed. And we just haven't, one of them is a substation, we just haven't had the expense come out yet, so. Some other notes on here. Fund 23 is in here as well, and that's on page 23. Fund 23 is the TIF 4 Even Glow. It shows nothing other than it was budgeted to make about 8,000, which it's not going to. But there was actually the last disbursement of property tax. It has $144 in there. So.
we can have dinner.
We can incentivize somebody with that.
A couple of us, maybe.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
A couple of us can have dinner.
And as a reminder, the reason why that is because the county extended their tax exemption another year. So we hurried and rushed that because they were going to eliminate that because the building wasn't being used for what it was supposed to be being used for. So they were going to be assessed for the whole property, and they did not do that. And so that's why that we're only getting 100, because there's some apartments on the upper level that were taxed that people own. So the rest of it is tax exempt.
So could we see that windfall coming next year?
If they put it back on the tax rolls, yes. And then, so a couple other things, the band is Fund 97, it's toward the back. There are no expenses in there yet, but there's one that will be on the next quarterlies. The band has their payroll, they get paid one time a year. They do all their performances, they've been paid already, it just hasn't been booked yet. And that's typically between $30,000 and $35,000, their payroll.
I've seen that on the other page.
And then, you might not notice by looking at it, but the taxi fund, which is Fund 07, It doesn't have any revenue in it yet because it gets its revenue from our general corporate tax. We take some of that, we move it over to the taxi fund, and it's in a due to right now, so we haven't actually moved the money over. So, and other than that, unless you have any questions, there was one other note, the police, pension fund. That's Fund 91, so it's near the back.
Third page from the back.
Page 39. You'll see on dues and fees, there's $350,000, and that's not actually what that is. They had that much money in the bank, and that $350,000 was then put into the state investment pool. So they just transferred that money over to the state investment. It was not a due or a fee. Otherwise, like I said, everything is right about where it should be at this time of year. Some of the ones that might be high would be the golf course and personnel, but their personnel are done. And the same with parks. They tend to look like they are running, like parks, for example, I think they're 70% or something of their budget, but they don't have people working ball fields and stuff in the middle. If anyone has any questions, I can answer them. Or if you have any questions later, just let me know. And I'll get the amended ones posted online.
You offered me this job for $10 million a year, I wouldn't, but I am not doing that job.
Well, the beauty is you guys really made it easier because we hired Lauterbach and Amy.
Right.
And so
They do this.
they put this on paper. I consulted with them on how it should look, and now they put it in, they send it to me. And in this one, it is what it is because I got it late right before the council, and I thought I didn't want to push this off to the next one. I wanted to get the financials out, so I got them put in there, and then I had some changes that I had to make as I went through it.
Anybody else on that?
Well, we're going to have budget meetings right around the corner.
Yep,
right?
we're gonna make a plan next week.
And, yeah, so
We are.
I'll
We
have
just-
questions from there.
Right.
By next week?
We're gonna make a plan.
Okay.
We've got committee meetings this week though, right?
There are none.
There are none.
There are
Okay.
no agenda items for
Okay,
that.
good.
Okay, moving on to my comments. Well, I'm gonna put Chris,
Yep.
I'm sorry. Did somebody have something to say?
I'm glad she asked.
Oh,
I would
okay.
have showed up.
Yeah.
Morning.
I'm going to put Chris on the spot since he's here tonight because I know we didn't really ever have an opportunity, or at least I don't remember, to go through our snow removal plan as an agenda item. So we can't do that, but I have a few questions, just based on some of those things. Curiosity, how many plows do we have on the road when we are doing snowplow like this?
Full staff, we have,
Okay. Good. Do we have any kind of what is our, I'm not sure, in our logistics of the sidewalks on Route 116 West, Ladd Street, those major public sidewalks that are heavily used, do we have a plan?
yeah, there's actually, we do have our winter policy, but we do, generally sidewalks are done the day after the storm. We do pretty much do from the last street bridge to Reynolds, and then all the way up to Riverside.
Okay.
We were out there Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed it was done. Well, part of that, I got a call, Sarah couldn't be here tonight, Horner, but she had some concerns about our snow route system on the sidewalks because she observed individuals walking on Route 116 on Saturday night, and it was dangerous. It was dark. They were not, and that's such a heavily walking path now. And so perhaps we need to revisit what we do on that major thoroughfare. And her suggestion was we should make the property owners there, take care of those sidewalks, because we're making, we've come with that agenda downtown. Because there's a lot of people out there. It's not safe. I mean, every day there's multiple people walking. Anybody goes through there, you can see it. I mean, and so how can we make it safer for them? We can't make a decision tonight, but I think it's just food for thought. The intersection, the crosswalks now are going across 116 were not completed. I mean, right there, the one from McDonald's to Cafe Fontana that was never plowed. I mean, even as part of the other. So that's got to become part of our program, or somebody's, I guess,
Who's going to plow the path?
the path.
The path where there's no sidewalk.
Oh, well, but yeah, I know. That's why we have to make that an important piece of trying to get that sidewalk extended, because it really is, it's probably our number one safety issue in our community, even though we haven't had any major incidents where someone has been hit or injured, but it's going to happen because there is such a high volume of walkers there's just a lot there.
By Route 60.
I don't recall, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Is there a sidewalk underneath the cars parked in front of S&R?
No, and that was, I brought that up at our last council meeting, that was an oversight, and Brian, now we have to be in the process of trying to get the state to extend it, but that process is not going to be a short-term solution a short-term fix.
Right.
But it should be their responsibility at this point, because they started it and need to finish it, but it might take us a year before we can get it accomplished. So anyway, just wanted to, put those. Otherwise, I think we do a great job of snow removal. I mean, my streets were done. I think most people in our community have to give kudos to all of the people who are out there plowing, because it's, this is early. What's the winter going to be like? And I know I ran into Chris at Walmart at 5 o'clock, and he said Apples was going to be downtown tonight, picking up the big piles. So, we really do a great job for a community of our size. Nobody should have many complaints about, if they do, it's such, we all have to remember that snow is an inconvenience. Nobody likes inconveniences, but we really do our best here to manage it all. So thank you, and your staff.
Did you drive a plow today? Tonight? Sit here?
Do you ever have to hire third-party people to help? I mean, how much, because we got quite a bit of snow. I mean, how much snow do we have to get as a city before you're forced to look for additional help?
So generally,
Like tonight, the snow crew,
files that generally we hire. Otherwise, we find anybody with a heartbeat in our department and
A heartbeat.
we generally try to keep it. As far as hiring outside drivers, we don't have enough to run 2 shifts, would be ideal. Generally, our contract work is between the 5.
does it require a CDL?
If they drive a smaller truck,
Good eyesight.
It is if they're a city employee. A city employee, they have to,
At his place, his
Right.
employees have to.
employees would have to.
But one thing I would like for us to discuss for future conversation, not this year, is I was watching on the TV screen, over the last few days, many communities ban on-street parking when they have so many snows, and we don't. And we have snow routes, but they aren't really observed. I mean, I just came up Mill Street here, and there's 4 cars parked on the next block, which is a snow route, and they're covered in snow, so they've been there for 2 or 3 days. And it's got to be thought about as, when there's so much snow, because it's just, it can't be easy to plow with a lot of cars on the road. So, just food for thought. Friday night, great event downtown. I hope everybody had a chance to be down there for the parade, the light show, the madrigal singers, the event in the park. Everything was really great. The weather was really, I think, ideal for what we had. It wasn't windy, sure it was cold, but hopefully everyone managed to have a good time. And thanks to all those people that made it happen, because there was lots of people. Chris's department, community development, just a lot of people came together for that. So great job, everybody. Tomorrow night, the opening doors thing, I hope that if you can come to be here for Paul Charnett and that. Currently, we have about 25 people RSVP, so 5:30 start here in this room, and Paul said it'll be about an hour and a half, I believe, program, unless there's loads of questions. So hope to see anybody there. And then my last thing is I just mentioned to Jim, we're scheduled to have an infrastructure meeting next week on Tuesday, but I think it's more convenient for individuals on Monday in that group. So if you check your calendars, you don't have to give me an answer now, but because we probably need to check with Brian, I would like to go over what we have planned for our infrastructure capital improvement plan for next year. I know Brian's already started doing some work, but I would like for that committee to take a look at it and just review, not, maybe there's some additional things we might be able to get into it, potentially. So maybe send an email out back tomorrow or the next day if that day works for you, and we'll check with Brian as well.
Monday the 8th.
That would be Monday, the 8th, yeah.
At what time?
Well, 5 o'clock seemed to be when was convenient for most on Monday, so.
Okay.
That's your meeting.
Okay. That's
So,
all I have.
There's a finance meeting, right, on Wednesday, or is that out?
We haven't, this week, no committee meetings, though. We didn't have any agenda items.
Good.
City council comments. Anybody, anything? Jerry?
So, I had the opportunity to go through Manteno, Illinois.
Great downtown.
Yeah, oh my gosh. It's not so much the great downtown, it's how they draw you to it. From the interstate to the downtown, any place there's a business after dark, there is a light bulb like we have on top of our buildings, only the big one. It's amazing. It takes you right to where you want to go. You come off that interstate and here's Dairy Queen, that's the regular row from an interstate.
Yeah.
And then it takes you downtown to the businesses that are mom and pops, Sammy's Pizza.
Yeah, I wasn't
this
there in the
restaurant,
dark,
that
so,
restaurant,
but I've
you
been
know.
there numerous times.
I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah.
And it didn't look, to me, that setup that they've got, doesn't look that expensive. It looks like they use a lot of places they utilize things they already have to string the lights with, so it works.
Yeah,
really
it's
well.
pretty cool.
It really works well.
What he's talking, they have, I didn't see him in the night, but it's they have the
clear
the
bulb.
string lights between their poles all the way down their major highway, like the, Edison lights on a strand. And they've just got them, it's
Just
really
follow the
cool.
lights and it takes you downtown.
Yeah,
Yeah, and basically it'll take you to anywhere there's a business. And generally the business
and
is open
it's,
with where the lights are on.
Like
Because,
on there with some friends.
yeah,
and it just makes it so easy for the people coming off the highway to find anything. Even
Great
if you,
suggestion.
even when you get to your first stop, there's signage that says, oh, this is here and this is around this corner.
That's
It's
always
great.
been my.
It's great. We
thought
need something.
coming- When I've had guests come in town from that direction, they've made comments, well, Wally's is probably where everybody stops till they get downtown, and I'm going, well, yeah, I'm sure they're coming downtown, but it would be nice if we had signage and all kinds of things that just pushed them downtown.
I get 3 or 4 a night from the interstate
really?
travelers on weekends. Weekdays, it's kind of iffy, but we're probably one of the later places that are open on weekdays. And so we'll get someone at 9 o'clock with a family that's on the interstate that are just exhausted and trying to get to Chicago or wherever.
And they want pizza.
And they just want to sit down and get off the highway. And yeah, it's kind of nice that they pick us instead of, out there where the hamburger joints are. But if we had direction. I mean,
We have
we could
wayfinding
multiply
signage
that
out
number.
there.
Yeah, there's signs out
everyone.
there. We'll have to,
And it would be it'd be a way to share the business districts and, and then still have the focus on downtown.
Yeah, we have a sign across from the Wally's sign. And I always thought, wouldn't it be nice if Wally's gave us a spot on their sign that just said, don't forget beautiful downtown Pontiac?
maybe we need to ask.
Yeah, we do.
Because that's the biggest sign there.
Yep.
It's all lit up and ours is not lit, I don't think. It's-
No,
I think we need to give Mike all the phone numbers to call, Jim.
I know the guys.
Yeah,
Oh, you do?
There you go.
the
Okay.
guy.
They were very cooperative. They're
Yeah.
They
the
are
easiest
pretty good people.
developer I've ever worked.
They really are. They were so friendly when they first came. They had
Anyone else?
answers to all the questions.
Barb?
Yeah, I'd like to give added kudos to Pontiac Public Library with Kristen and her staff. The storybook walk was fabulous. I was down there.
Yep,
And
me
it was
too.
just nice. There were so many families. I was behind parents with 6 kids. And just the kids were reading, the dad let the kids take turns reading in between, and he would read, he would help them. And it was just great. It was great. The luminaries, they had flashlights for everybody if you wanted them, and hot chocolate and cookies afterwards. It was,
Well, the ornament bags. And,
yeah, it was, yeah.
It really was.
And,
It was
yeah,
very
colored
nice.
works, things like that. So it was really a good evening.
They have a lot planned this month too for events for kids
Yes.
and adults.
Yeah,
Good
a lot
job.
of
Yeah,
work
they
into that.
they
Yeah.
did. They put a lot of work and,
Yes, they
it was
did.
cold, but it wasn't bad.
No.
Are
Good
we in
evening.
agreement for 4:30 on a Monday for an infrastructure?
Well, yeah, I think 5. We're going to check with Brian. We got to check and make sure that works for him, so.
Any word on replacing Scott's position?
I've got some leads. I need to make some phone calls. I got the voter registration list last week because I didn't get any applicants. So I just need to make some phone calls now. And so if you have, give me throw me an idea if you.
Okay.
Okay, city administrator.
I thank our public safety and streets. They fantastic job during this snow. Working late, and I thought, I was traveling during this, and Bloomington didn't get near as much as we did. Talking with my wife, and she was telling me how bad the roads were, and I'm doing 65, 70 on I-55 from Springfield north. The rest of the way was bad, but there north was good, and I'm thinking, well, can't be too bad. And as soon as I got off the interstate, it was a whole different world here in town, how much snow we had compared to south of us on 55. So,
It packs so fast.
yeah, and as usual, I mean, the streets does a fantastic job and all the things that they do. And then the last thing I wanted to say is, if you didn't know, like the LACC does a fire science class and they have a law enforcement class. Well, next year they're going to start up an aviation class. So out at our airport, we'll be hosting an aviation class that will take you up to all the requirements to get a pilot's license. So that will be an interesting thing, and if we can get young people interested in aviation, that would be a great, fantastic thing. So my thanks is to Chris Peterson. He did all the legwork on putting that program together and with a service out of Kankakee. That's all I have.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
That is.
it costs a lot of money typically for
Who's the service out of Kankakee they're using?
people.
You have to ask me. I can't remember. I have it in an email. I can send it to you.
So the Shell station,
Yes.
is that in preparation for him to have space to park trucks?
Yes. They did a permit, and Greg, you can correct me if I'm wrong, for truck parking back there. They're gonna do some fuel, some small fuel stations there, not a great big thing.
It's a
And
big
then-
hole back there.
And then they're gonna remodel the front of the store and redesign the store to make it actually look like, if you Google what Ricky Rockets looks like, that's what it will.
And so the lot across the street that he owns, the old BP?
Yep.
Is he still planning a car wash there?
We have no idea. They have not had any contact regarding that. However, I have had some prospects on wanting us to try and get him to sell that to someone else so they can do something with it.
The every week question asked to me.
No.
Yeah, that one there too. And the other car wash, that one's moving along?
Yeah, they're actually doing something.
Snail.
Like a
Snail is right.
It's
The
2
water
years-
is frozen.
It's 2 years late.
Okay. Public comments? Does my handler have anything to say? He said he wanted to come tonight, so, okay.
Getting bored.
With no further business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Chan, second by Jerry. So moved. Thank you, everybody. Be safe out there.
I had a call from Main Street.